4th and goal to go to 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Here is Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Now, this one here, as I said, this one here is, you got to look at, Biceps Bellinger. Right? There's a video taken from a couple years ago. that photo. He's coming back. He's got the visor on because he got, his rookie season, he got poked in the eye. I think it was against Jacksonville. He was doing pretty well. But then, of course, in the second season when he came in here, right, for him, he with Waller here, so he had to take a back seat to Waller. He got some snaps, but obviously Waller was, the main man, right, as far as tight ends were concerned. Then, of course, in last season, right, Waller retired. We drafted Theo Johnson. We did not have a, unbelievable tight end group last season. If Bellinger was going to come to the, to the forefront or whatever, he had his chance, but, Theo knocked him out, right? So Theo was until Theo got hurt. But so Bellinger's very interesting, very interesting. We got, I don't know if Dulcich is going to make the team or not, but we got Manhurts, Fedoni, Theo Johnson, and we got Bellinger. So are we going to keep 4 tight ends on the 53? Ooh, I don't know. Theo Johnson, pencil him in as long as he's healthy. Fedoni, I'd have a hard time. We just drafted the guy, so I'd have a hard time seeing him being put on the practice squad. We got Manhurts in here, not for obviously for receiving production, although I think last year he did get a receiving touchdown, but he's in there for blocking, and he's very good blocking tight end, right? So Bellinger's got his work cut out for him. This is one of those ones. I said, I had the video I did with as far as with the contract years, right? Bellinger's one of those guys. But Bellinger might, unlike maybe Belton, McFadden, maybe Flott, Neal, if he does well, some of those guys might be more, on the Giants' to-do list to try to bring some of those guys back. Not so sure about Bellinger. I mean, unless he, I don't know, has a really good season. I don't know. He might be on the outside looking in. Now, of course, it doesn't mean, if we only keep 3 tight ends, he might get put on the practice squad. We don't know. But he's certainly going to be, without question, one of the Giants to keep an eye on. Right? What winds up happening with him? Because we know Theo Johnson, is probably going to be the starting tight end. So a lot of positional battles going on. So even obviously, as we know, even though the starters, some in certain positions are penciled in, the guys battling out for the roster spots in the second and third team will be very interesting to see. But once promising tight end, Daniel Bellinger could be fighting for his job at training camp. New York Giants have a difficult decision to make at tight end. With training camp kicking off this week, the Giants will begin to reorder their depth chart for the upcoming 2025 season. By the end of summer, they will need to make roster cuts and ultimately make tough decisions on who to let go. Is Daniel Bellinger on the roster bubble? Giants are confident in second-year tight end Theo Johnson to continue blossoming this season as their starter. Behind him, however, is a competition for the backup spot on the depth chart. Former third-round pick Daniel Bellinger, third-rounder, seems to be in line to be the second-string tight end. However, that could change over the course of training camp. Don't forget about Fedoni. Don't forget about him. Competing alongside Daniel Bellinger will be veterans Chris Manhertz, who is Greg Dulcich, and 7th round pick. 47 All right. Thomas Fedoni. All three of these tight ends are cheaper, which is true. And as we're going to go over, right? We're going to go over Bellinger, right? All between Manhertz, Dulcich, and Fedoni, all three of those tight ends are cheaper and much cheaper than Bellinger, and thus could dethrone him. Giants could release Bellinger for cap relief. Releasing Bellinger would save the Giants $3.4 million in cap space. He's got a little bit of a cap hit this year. His cap hit is what's it? I think his cap hit is like $3.6 million. So what it was is they pushed a lot of the money down the road. He only counted. He didn't count too much toward the cap his first 3 years. This season, his cap hit is quite a bit. Giants had $3.4 million in cap space per over the cap. That may not seem like a lot at first, but considering the Giants have only $3.8 million in total cap space entering training camp, any savings would be impactful. So if they release Bellinger, they would save 3.4, and they only have 3.8 going in there. That would almost double the amount of money salary cap money they would have. They would go from having 3.8 in salary cap space to 7.2. So Bellinger is the team's highest paid tight end on the current roster, despite not being projected as a starter. That discrepancy could motivate New York to release him for cap relief. Although he is a solid backup, the difference in quality between Bellinger and the next best guy could prove to be negligible, making the $3.4 million in cap relief all the more attractive. If it winds up being something between, Fedoni, they're only going to keep like maybe 3 tight ends on the active roster. Is Bellinger that much better than Fedoni? Fedoni's a 7th round pick. Fedoni ain't making a whole heck of a lot. Let's see what I got here. Where are we at here? Okay, here we go. Right. Let's see. Well, let me see. Bellinger goes. Where are we at here? Bellinger's $3.6 million toward the cap this season. All right, let's do the tight ends underneath them here. Greg Dulcich is $1.4 million toward the cap. Let's see. Manhertz, $1.2 million toward the cap. Trying to find Fedoni. He's got to be down toward the bottom down there. Oh, Fedoni is about like $900,000 toward the cap. So actually, I mean, really, if you look, all right, if you add up Manhertz, Dulcich, and Fedoni, their 3 salaries combined 1.2, or I think, are less than what Bellinger's is. Bellinger's at 3.6. I think Manhertz, Dulcich, and Fedoni's like 3. Their 3 combined salaries are like 3.2 or 3.3. So, is it going to be worth it keeping Bellinger and letting go Dulcich? Is Bellinger that much of an upgrade? I mean, if we let Bellinger go and we keep Fedoni, Manhertz, and maybe Dulcich on the practice squad. We just drafted Fedoni. He's a phenomenal athlete. Long, lean, right? So it's going to be interesting to see. Very interesting to see. All right, where are we at here? As a rookie in 2022, Bellinger was impressive, totaling 30 receptions for 268 yards and 3 total touchdowns, 2 receiving touchdowns and 1 rushing touchdown in only 12 games, though, because let's not forget, remember, he got poked in the eye. He broke his eye socket or whatever the heck it was against Jacksonville, and he had to start wearing the shield. So, he missed like, 5 games? So he played like, I don't know, a little more than 2/3 of the season, and he had 30 receptions. And actually, obviously in that Jacksonville game, he got injured. He had to come out. So he played in the game, but he didn't play the whole game. So he played 12. He might have played like 11 and a half games. So basically he played like 2/3 of the season. So he had 30 receptions. So you figure if he played the whole season, he would have maybe had 45 receptions or so. For a rookie tight end, that's not too bad. And he had 3 touchdowns. So he might have had 4 touchdowns. He might have had, 45 receptions, maybe 400 yards for 4 touchdowns. Once again, we're not talking Kelsey. We're not talking, Mark Bavaro here. You're not talking, but it wasn't bad. You figure, he had 30%, maybe he would keep going up, he keep getting better and better and better. He's not scored a touchdown since 2022 and received a career-low 17 targets last season, totaling just 125 yards on 14 receptions. Bellinger's role has diminished each season he has been in the league. Now, with a crowded tight end room entering training camp, he could find himself on the outs, which is true. I said his salary is $3.6 million. So it's quite possible. I mean, he only had 17 targets all last season. Averaged basically, so what? He averaged 1 target a game. And we don't have the most phenomenal tight end room. So for him to only get, 1 target a game last year, not saying much. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I said they do let him go, would save $3.4 million, because I think there was like $190,000 in dead cap money or something like that. So if we were to let him go, his cap hit is 3.6. The Giants would say 3.4 million, and about 200,000 would be dead money. But he's going to be another one of those guys to keep an eye on. But it just, once again, kind of like one of those head scratchers, because he had his rookie season wasn't bad, and you kind of figured that maybe, he might keep escalating, right, on his way up. Each year maybe get a little bit better, but it just really hasn't happened. Yeah, I'm not sure if if getting poked in the eye had any problem, has caused him any issues or not, but injuries do happen. It's a shame.